He's crazy like Jack Bauer. His name is Forrest Power. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, YouTube. What has happened to us? Last night I was watching Leonardo DiCaprio's latest release on Netflix, Don't Look Up, a film about a pair of scientists that discover that Earth is about to imminently explode as a result of a collision with a comet, and they are given no validation for their scientific research because people have other priorities that are far more pressing even than the destruction of the planet. So, ladies and gentlemen, that led me to think about how do people actually receive validation in 2022? The English teacher within me wanted to look up the dictionary definition of what validation actually meant. So I opened up Google, banged it into the computer, and found out that the actual definition of validation is receiving positive reaffirmation for something. And this isn't something new. In actual fact, human beings have wanted validation since caveman times, back in the days of kings and queens when knights were roaming the planet. Human beings got validation by having land bestowed on them or titles. More recently, if you go back 200 years when we had the Industrial Revolution, human beings started to partake that little bit more in capitalism, and therefore validation came in the form of money. And it's remained that way ever since, really, until quite recently. I think that the status quo in terms of how we view how other people get their validation has started to change. It is in fact the young people of today that decide the currency of validation for today and also tomorrow's world. And increasingly with the birth of the internet, validation is now garnered from people through things like likes and followers, and essentially validation has been turned into a glorified popularity contest. Now, it really made me think about the things that we hold true as being the part or makeup of what makes a good person a good person. And I think that if you look at generations gone by and think about lessons that we've learned from our grandparents, the sort of things that we held up as qualities that we should all aspire to have, I've seemingly been lost a little bit over the past 5 to 10 years. I remember my grandparents, and specifically my grandmothers, talking about their other halves and why they were great men. And they talked about traits such as strength of character, loyalty, sense of humour, and cited all these sorts of things. But I think that increasingly society now is placing an emphasis on different, more superficial qualities when thinking about how to validate people and how to look at people as being successful. I really do wish we could go back to yesteryear as well, particularly when I look at the young people of today that are spending thousands of pounds on things like lip fillers, getting nose jobs so they can have the perfectly pristine, refined pair of lips or a nose that is without a blemish, just so they can pose for a picture on Instagram and receive likes from people. And who are these people that they are receiving validation from on the internet as well? Nobody really knows. It could just be some guy sat in his mum and dad's basement eating Doritos in a pair of his best tighty whities, which makes you question, is that sort of validation worthwhile at all? More to the point though, we've ended up with scenarios where people are quite happy just to stand back and let two children fight on a street corner, whip out their smartphone and film it, rather than actually break it up and intervene, solely because they can be the person that uploads that video to the internet and watches it go viral, and therefore they can construct themselves as some kind of minor internet celebrity, rather than actually doing the moral thing and stopping someone from potentially getting seriously hurt. It's a really tragic state of affairs when you think about it. Interestingly, the use of the word woke has become quite prevalent over the last 10 years, but I actually think that we're only going to exist in a situation of wokeness if humanity takes a step back and looks at how far our standards have actually fallen. So you may be wondering to yourself, who is to blame for all this big mess? And I think that to start off with, we've got to lay some blame at the foot of the global media. After all, they are the people that decide what we consider to be beautiful within society. And therefore, you've got thousands, if not millions, of teenage girls across the globe that are starving themselves silly, gaining eating disorders in the process, just so they can pose for the perfect selfie on Instagram. It sounds pretty pathetic when you put it like that. Moreover though, now you have got people in every walk of life chasing some kind of online infamy, trying to become some kind of digital hero, mainly because the mundaneness of their own life simply does not match up to the kind of minor internet celebrity that they would like to become in the future. Now, you may very well be listening to this video now thinking to yourself, hold on a minute, Forrest, you are doing a video for YouTube, are you not chasing online infamy? And the answer to that question is quite simple. I am not, without flaw when it comes to seeking validation from others. I've done a lot of things in my life because I was trying to get validation from other people, but it's only when you kind of reflect on your own behavior that you can learn from it, and that's what I'm trying to do, with this video today and thinking about my life in general too. I'd hope as well that I have got, even though this channel is relatively small, a good audience of people that do listen or watch my videos and think about the topics that I'm discussing. And generally my hope is to offer people a period of self-reflection where they can think about their own lives and think about how to make them healthier and happier places. How do we go about changing things though? It's a pretty good question if you ask me. The media wants the rich people to become increasingly richer. You look at people like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, and they actually receive their validation through becoming richer and richer every year. But even though the internet has got its drawbacks, it also offers people a medium for their voice to be heard, much like mine, hopefully, is being done now. I mean, you've got to ask yourself as you do listen to this video, would you rather have 1 million followers on Instagram, or would you rather wake up every morning knowing that you have had a positive effect on people's lives and therefore gain validation in that way? In my opinion, we need to do more as a society to champion people who positively influence people's lives on a daily basis. I'm talking about doctors, I'm talking about nurses, I'm also talking about people like the guy who lives at the bottom of your street that goes and gets his elderly parents groceries every week just to help them out. Those are people that we should aspire to be like, because those are people that make a difference in society, not some 2-bit hack of a celebrity that spend 50 grand on making sure that they've got the perfect body. But in order to ensure that you are getting your validation from the right places, I firmly believe that you've got to surround yourself with a good group of people, a good core, that have a similar sort of moral fibre to yourself. If you're friends with a lot of people that are chasing the Instagram dream, that are thinking about kind of doing daft things like, enhancing their bodies and spending thousands of pounds on stuff like that, you're probably rolling with the wrong crew. And you've got a responsibility to yourself as an individual, as a person, to make sure you surround yourself with like-minded people who share similar values and similar goals. I think that what I'm trying to say is that we all need that group of friends that can surround us with positivity and give us the right kind of validation, because society as a whole needs to hit the reset button on what people should get validation for, because currently we're getting it for the wrong sort of things. But as always, guys, I do not think of this channel as a one-man band in terms of my own opinion, and I don't want to lecture or pontificate too much, because I actually want to know what you think, people of the internet. So, do you think that we are regressing or deteriorating as a society because of what people now receive validation for? Maybe you think I'm completely wrong, and there's nothing wrong with what people are getting respect and success out there at the minute for. Either way, so long as I've made you think about today's topic, that is my main goal or main objective. We've got to think about these issues very, very carefully. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you very much for watching this video. In keeping with today's topic, I will not be asking for likes or subscribers or anything like that. So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for watching this video. As always, I'm Forrest Power, and this has been Emotional.